Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077, and specifically the discussions of transhumanism in this game. Because there's a lot to this, and there's a lot of really thoughtful discussion in the game about these topics. So if you don't know the world of 2077, it's essentially an alternate timeline for us set about 50 years into the future of that alternate timeline. And essentially corporations have taken over the role of the government. The government does still exist, but corporations now have so much power that they're essentially running society at large. And so you have all these kind of corporations that are warring with each other, and people are either kind of sucked up into working for these corrupt mega corporations trying to get by working for them, or they're basically forced into various lives of crime. And that's pretty much the whole landscape for almost everyone. It's very hard to live a decent life in this universe. It paints a very bleak picture for the future. So the story revolves around you're playing a mercenary, essentially in this world, and you do a job that goes bad, and you end up with a computer chip that's like inserted into your character, and it actually has a separate personality on this chip. That being this character played by Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand, and you start seeing this character, and essentially the chip is trying to overtake your character's brain. So, yeah, by the way, I'm going to spoil this entire game, so if you care about that, you might not want to watch this. But, yeah, so essentially this chip is trying to take over your character's brain because the purpose of the chip was to try to save somebody's consciousness, and then they could try to put this consciousness into a dead body, and it would kind of try to take over the brain of that dead person and kind of reincarnate it as a horrific zombie creature. So that's like, so your character is not dead, but he essentially gets this chip that's supposed to do that in him, and it's this experimental technology called Soulkiller, and yeah, that's the premise for the game. It's really quite interesting, and right from the name of the chip, it's like it's saying it's like this kills a person's soul. So is it actually preserving the person, or is it killing them? Like the company seems to be aware that it's actually killing people, but it's offering to sell this technology to the world. It's like, hey, if you want to keep yourself alive, you can preserve yourself with this program. But it's actually it's a big question. It's like, would that actually be still that person, or would that just be a construct that's based off of that person? And the game actually straight up tells you like that they are constructs that are like the people are dead, and these are things that are based off of them. But the game, while it tells you that, it also doesn't treat it like that. It treats it like, yes, this is a continuation of Johnny Silverhand, even though we see like how Johnny dies, or some version of how Johnny dies. It kind of, Johnny and V, your main character, act as if Johnny is still alive, and they're sharing a body in V. And so it largely treats these characters like they're continuing after they've been uploaded as an engram, is the term used in the game. But it also straight up just tells us that they're dead. And there's a lot of deep stuff that's like hard. You wouldn't necessarily pick up on it unless you're paying a lot of close attention. But like we see that Johnny Silverhand is not a reliable narrator, and although we witness a lot of his memories, like the memories they're not right. So here's a clip from one of these memories.
Shit! That's Adam Smasher!
So Johnny, like, laying on the ground there, seeming like he's about to die. Then it jumps, and we see Johnny escaping to the roof. And you see a number of things like this, and when you watch these memories, and they're not just time skips. There's actually like something flawed in these memories, and so we're not seeing what really happened. And if you look into the lore of this game series, this event, it's essentially like the 911 event of this universe, where a bunch of mercenaries go in and they drop a nuclear bomb down the elevator shaft of one of these mega corporation towers. And so they kill all sorts of innocent people while also messing up this company. But in the memories that we see, it's Johnny who's in charge. Johnny set all this up, and he's leading the team. When in the reality of this universe, it's actually a character named Morgan Blackhand who's the leading figure in all of this. He's the one that has the actual conflict with Adam Smasher. Like, Johnny's character is just described as getting killed rather quickly by Adam Smasher. Like, he is there in the real lore, but it's totally different how it plays out, and Morgan Blackhand is more the lead character in all of it. So the game like hardly even gets into this fact, but like you're interacting with this like version of Johnny that's either like manipulative or it's actually like been altered by this company or something. It's not really Johnny, though, is the point. It's something else that's based off of the memories of Johnny partially. And now I want to go into, this is like basically the most important conversation that happens in the game. Both largely for the story, but also this is one of the best conversations for kind of looking at transhumanism in this game. So we're going to watch this clip here. And this is where you and Johnny have gone to talk to an AI, which is, he thinks this is his old girlfriend that's been uploaded into the internet, essentially. And yeah, we'll see how this conversation goes.
Jesus, Alt, I dove in after you. Gonna tell me now this ain't your problem?
It is not. The Alt Cunningham you strove to save in Arasaka Tower no longer exists. This should be obvious to you, as you were responsible for her death.
Your death wasn't Johnny's fault.
How could you know?
Seen you in his memories. It was an accident.
What you saw was his subjective view of what happened. A warped account of events he locked away in his subconscious and replayed time and again. It bears no resemblance to the truth.
If you're not Alt, who are you?
I use her enigmatic data.
Really? You find this icy bitch aspect in there too?
Okay, I get it. You hate Johnny's guts, but what about me?
I cannot help you.
Can't or won't?
Can't. To attempt to do so, I would need access to more advanced technology.
What? But it's your tech. You created Soulkiller.
The program I created has little in common with how Arasaka has since repurposed it.
Fine, so how about Mikoshi? That advanced enough for you?
If I could gain access to Mikoshi, it would cease to exist.
Good, we can work with that. We'll get you inside Mikoshi and you'll help V, deal?
Best runner Night City's ever seen can't bust into Mikoshi on her own.
I am a well-known threat there. They have a layer of black ice with my name on it. Literally.
Kinda like a custom-made prison jumpsuit.
I refuse to be caged in there ever again.
What can you do for me, exactly? Everyone I've met so far said I'm too far gone.
By everyone, you mean Hellman? Saburo's personal ass munch?
With the Soulkiller resident inside Mikoshi, I will create a construct of you, then disentangle your neural network from Johnny's. I shall then inject your engram back into your mortal form.
So, you'll save my life, but flatline me along the way.
Your consciousness, neural engrams, will be recorded as data. The rest will cease to exist.
The rest?
The soul. I did not grant the program its name, but Soulkiller does precisely what it promises to do.
Christ, I don't want to listen to this bullshit. V just hops back into his body, right? Nothing changes.
Everything changes. You know this well.
All right, so there's a lot of horrific stuff in there, where it's like you learn Johnny's memories are false and misleading you, and she tells you, it's like, I'm not his old girlfriend. I'm a thing that's like uses some of her memories. Like, it's pretty wild how it tells you this, but the game, after this conversation, like, it still kind of acts as if you didn't learn all this, and even at the end, she tells you right here, it's like, I'm gonna have to kill you. Like there is no saving V from this, what's happening to him with the chip. She's essentially like, the only thing I can do is kill you and try to copy your data, and then we'll just like put that data back into your body, but like your soul will be dead. Like John, like V is dead if they do this. And like when you get to the end of the game, V like freaks out. Like, even though he was told here, it's like he didn't understand. And then like he finally gets to the end, he's like so I have to die no matter what. It's like, this was all for nothing, because like, even if we do this, like, is that really me? Like, if we have something in my body, like some computer program in my body that's based off my memories, is that really me? It's like, no, it's not. And so the game kind of acts as if it is consciousness continuing through these programs, but it explicitly tells you it's not. And I really appreciated this. Like, I thought this was like really good writing, and this is absolutely how this type of technology would actually work, like, in my professional opinion. So like, and the whole idea of engrams and creating personality constructs based off of what's in our head. It's a really interesting discussion. And like, I mean, we have people talking about the singularity, when we'll get to a point where man and technology are like merging into one, and this is like a really horrific concept. So yeah, I think that's some of the most interesting stuff in the game, like all of the discussions around that, and like just them saying like emphatically, it's like, no, that would not be a continuation of your soul. The true you would die. This would be a thing based on you. Another like interesting part of this universe is its discussion of cyberpsychosis, and like just like the cybernetic augmentation of people in general. People like replace their limbs with advanced technology. So it's like, cut my arms off and give me robot arms so I'm super strong. And people get like addicted to doing this because they're like, they think they're ascending into godhood, like it doesn't explicitly say it like that in the game, but it's like, that's what's happening. These people like become addicted to this ungodly power that they have within themselves, but they're also like mutilating their bodies to do that, and they lose their humanity in doing so, and they can go into cyberpsychosis, they call it in the game, where people like who have started to become more machine than man kind of like lose the rest of their humanity, and they snap and they turn into violent monsters. And I think this is really interesting. Like, especially like from an Orthodox perspective. In Orthodoxy, we break down the person into the body and the soul and the spirit. You know, we have like these three parts of the person, and they're all interconnected and they all matter. And it's like it just the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, we're told. So it's like if you mutilate the body, like, and you like start replacing it with machines, you know, it's interesting to think about. It's like, what is that? Would that do to your soul as well? Like, because like it is interconnected, and like if you if you start to do that to yourself, you would truly lose your humanity and shedding your flesh like that. Yeah, so I think that's a really interesting part of this as well. And this brings to mind, of course, Deus Ex, if you've ever played those games as well. It's it's a similar world. Deus Ex is more focused on conspiracy and other things than the corporations, but there's a lot of overlap in these games, and like the things that they're discussing, and how horrific it would be like to see humanity go to this point of like where people are mutilating themselves to acquire more power. And it's like, how could this go wrong? I mean, there's many ways it could go wrong. And Deus Ex also has a cult that's kind of interested in this same type of engram technology, or the singularity. Like it's called like the Church of the Singularity of the Machine God, I believe is what it's called in Deus Ex. And these people, like, they're really into the singularity. They want to fully merge with technology, and so like you have this whole cult of people that try to upload their consciousness into a computer system, but like when you find all these people in Deus Ex, like, and you, like, it's just a bunch of dead bodies. You know, it's a really horrific thing, and it's like I think both of these games like make a strong case and and have it right that it's like all you'd be doing would be killing yourself, and whatever thing you would create wouldn't truly be you. Another interesting thing in Cyberpunk, like the morality of this world is really odd, because it's criticizing like so much of the excess of society, and yet it's made by worldly people, and it does a lot of what it's criticizing itself. And I think that makes it kind of odd. So like the way, you know, it looks at like sexuality and the sex industry, and so one of the things that exists in this world are BDs. I can't even remember what that stands for, but it's essentially a virtual reality where like you're reliving a memory of someone. So people can record their memories, and then you can kind of relive that and actually like feel what they felt. So like obviously that has like connotations for like pornography, like, you know, how extreme that could be if you're actually reliving somebody's experience. But like there's also just like people reliving murders, like people reliving like all sorts of things. So like this BD technology is like an especially horrific way to picture like where kind of virtual reality tech could go. Actually, like the main character of like the anime, if you watch that, David Martinez, he actually watches murder BDs. Like that's his thing. Like he's not a sympathetic character at all. He's like pretty terrible from the get-go, because like, yeah, that's what he does for fun. He watches murders and relives enacting murders. It's a really horrific society. There's also these things in the sex industry in this world. They're called dolls, where essentially people can get a chip that kind of overrides their personality for a while, so that like these sex clubs can kind of try to give you a perfect experience of what they think you're going to want. And this doll, instead of the woman acting like herself, like has this like temporary personality uploaded to try to give you the most like personalized experience possible. There's a lot of horrific stuff in this, and it doesn't seem to be ever saying like, look how great this is, look how cool like like these technologies could be. It's instead it's like, look how horrible things could get, you know. But at the same time, like a lot of the writing and the things that happen in the game, it's like they're still pushing a lot, like they still their moral compass is still way off, you know. So like even as they're criticizing a lot of this stuff, you know, the things your character is doing and participating in is often still quite horrific itself. It's kind of weird how it's both criticizing things but participating in them. You know, like with the sex scenes and things, a lot of those are optional, but it's like there's a lot of content that like would be better not in the game, I would say. And one of the best examples of this, like this actually made me not want to play the game when I first when I learned of its existence. Like I had been playing it and I learned this quest exists, and I was like, oh man, that's so vile. Like, I don't even think I want to play this anymore. And this is like this quest. It's called Sinner Man, and it's a quest that's about a murderer who supposedly converts to Christianity, and he wants to, you know, pay for his crimes. And he also wants like more people to find redemption like he did. And so he decides he wants to get crucified like Christ so that people could, in that BD technology that we were talking about, literally like relive crucifixion. And he thinks that this is gonna like help spread Christianity. It's this really like weird, horrible quest in this game. And yeah, so like initially this just made me not want to play the game at all. I did eventually play through this quest, and it's an RPG, so you can play through. In an RPG, you always typically will have different choices of how you want to handle situations. So, like you don't have to go through with all of what this character is trying to do to kind of see some of this quest. And if you actually play through it doesn't seem to, again, like with how Cyberpunk is criticizing a lot of like excess and immorality, like potentially of like the future, like it seems to be criticizing this. Actually, it's like it's you know, it's like, yeah, like in this horrific world in the future, like the mega corporations, you know, like yeah, they have no lines that they won't cross. They're willing, like, because the company just wants to do this because they're like, oh, this is going to be crazy. Like, people are going to, like, this is going to be so controversial. People are going to lose their minds over this, and we can just make a lot of money off of it. So, like, that's how the company, like, this, like, film company is trying to, like, set this up for this guy because they just want to make a bunch of money off of it. And so the game is kind of like, yeah, isn't this horrible? Like, you know, nothing is sacred to the, like, to excessive whims of these companies, and like they would even do this. And so it actually seems like it's criticizing a lot of it. Like, you talk to people and they're like, this is blasphemous, like you can't do this. Like, there's all these protesters that are like, this is unacceptable. And but like, and you can like pray with the character and you can tell him not to do it, but you can also, he also asks you to crucify him. in the game. And like, if you want to play it out like that, and I haven't even seen this, I don't want to see it, frankly, like you can crucify this character in the game and go through with his plan. And I actually do think, like, from what I saw of how this quest is written, like, it is largely critical of this. It's not saying like this is a good thing, and it's not just trying to openly mock. It seems like it's both criticizing it, and yet, like, this is a fine example of how it's doing the things that it seems to want to critique. So yeah, that's just generally like the weird feeling that I get through Cyberpunk, where it has a lot of interesting things to say, but it's still like fall into those things that it wants to critique. But yeah, I can't say it better than that. Songbird is another interesting character that we see in from the DLC. There's a lot of interesting with her, but even just like looking at the character, like how she's been stripped of her humanity, like her body, more than most of the characters, like you can see how much of a machine that she's become, and she like is losing her memories in the game. She's like losing any humanity that she has left. And she just wants to escape and get away from the government, which is exploiting her. And she's willing to kill all sorts of innocent people to do that, to get her way. So she's another interesting character in all this. And it's interesting to play this like as an RPG. Like I think it's interesting to imagine he sees this character and how far she's willing to go, and then like at the end, V can have the choice of there's a number of ways you can end the game, but I would say the best ending is like V decides to go alone with just Johnny in his head to try to like take on this company without risking the lives of any of his friends that he's made along the way. Whereas like, yeah, Songbird's willing to kill like countless innocent people just to stay alive. So it's like the game is also asking interesting questions about like, what would you be willing to do to survive? Like, how much is survival worth? Is your life worth more than the lives of others? Like, is it better to have more time or to cherish the time that you do have? Like it's asking a lot of interesting questions about life, really. So there's a lot to appreciate here, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't appreciate at all. And V is ultimately a really sad character in the end because, he's one of these characters. You have a lot of control over how you play it, how you want to do things, and what your character says. But there's some amount of V that's just like innate to V, that you don't have control over. And like one of those things is like V just wants to be famous. Like V just wants to make a name for themselves. And it's like, even if you play it out like of like, I'm not going to risk any of my friends, I'm going to try to take on this evil company without risking anyone else, and hopefully I can find a way to stay alive. But like there's this part of E that's like, it's not about living a moral life. It's not about accomplishing anything of making the world a better place. It's about making a name for yourself, being famous, and like getting a drink named after yourself at some bar. It's incredibly sad. It's like, man, you just discovered what it takes to become a legend. So it's like, even if you're taking the most noble end, it's like, it's still like sad and hollow. And after you do that mission, like it doesn't play out how you want. V's actually dead no matter what, because of what we talked about earlier. Like V gets killed, Johnny gets separated from him, and then some program gets put into V's corpse, and that's what's running around in epilogue of the game. And even in that epilogue, like that husk of what V was, it goes off to keep trying to make a name for himself and to do an even bigger heist of robbing some space casino. And it's such a like hollow, sad end, because it's just like it's all meaningless, and V ultimately like fails to recognize like what's actually important in life. So overall, I thought this was a really interesting game. It made me think a lot. Definitely not a game I'd recommend for everybody, but I found the discussions of transhumanism and morality to be quite interesting, and I enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed this discussion of the game, and that's all we got for today. Have a good one.